talking about. You should have registered before 8 p.m. To be part of it. Okay. Right. We've got 154 people in the room. This is proving to me why it's a very popular chat. So let's get started. First and foremost, I've got nothing to sell you on this call. I wanted to do a couple of different styles, and there's going to be a future time. And again, I'm going to take your feedback on this. I've got two different webinars in mind. One where it's going to be like this, where there's no sale at the end of it, nothing to sell, nothing to promote. And one where I want to do a crazy offer at the end. I do like testing and tweaking and trying things. And, you know, I'm going to literally let you decide, and like literally your feedback at the end will help me do this. What we obviously, Boostly has got a website service. And if at the end of what I'm going to show you, because I'm going to break you down the secret sauce of what we discovered to create websites that work in this industry. If at the end of this, if you go, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want you guys to I want to chat with you guys. I will give you the link, but there's no selling on this call. My goal with this one hour to maybe 1 hour and 15 minute webinar that we're going to do this evening is I want everybody in here to be confident that either their website that they have set up is working, or they are confident that they know the tweaks that they need to do to get their website working. Now, why is a direct booking website so important? And, you know, this is a little question I want to throw over to you. Why do you think a direct booking website, having a killer direct booking website, is important for your business and your brand? If you could leave that for me in the chat below, please do let me know. It's always interesting to get your opinions. Control of bookings, because it's the window to our world. Simple and effective. So all very right reasons. I mean, the most important thing is that when you have got a direct booking website that works, when you've got a direct booking website that turns lookers into bookers, it just means that your whole marketing and your whole world is so much easier, because then what you can do is you are confident that you can go onto social media, for example, or you can send out an email, or you could be in the shops and you just notice somebody is asking for accommodation and you can go, hey, I can help, go visit my website. And you are confident that you can send someone to your website and it will turn a looker into a booker. And when you've got a website that works, when you've got a website that does that, it just makes life so much simpler. So yeah, having a direct booking website is everything. I would go so far to say that of all the things that we can do, the most important thing is making sure that your website is able to take direct bookings, most importantly, but one that is set up to work and is there to convert lookers into bookers. Because again, the problem with websites is that when you're starting up your business, there's so much budget that you allocate to getting the property ready. You know, some people in here, if you take a new property on, or, you know, about to relaunch your business, for example, you maybe put a budget between £4,000 to £20,000 or dollars towards that, getting it ready. So a large amount of chunk of your budget is getting the business ready and doing all the things, or refitting, or doing X, Y, or Z. When it comes to your actual website, it's always the afterthought. So it's, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. The final thing I'm going to worry about is my website. But because there's so much of your budget is taken to getting the property or properties ready, then there's nothing left. Now, in my opinion, the website is as important as your property, because it is the first impression that a future potential guest will have of you and your business and your brand. And there's so many reasons, there's so many factors, and our guests, your guests, the surveys that are out there are telling us exactly why they leave your website. And fortunately for you, you don't have to waste a lot of time digging into those surveys, having to find those surveys and working it all out. This is what I do. This is what me and a guy that I started doing websites with back in 2017, Tom, we basically dedicate a large chunk of our year and our business doing. So for those of you that don't know me, and I'd like to think a lot of people in this room have at least got an email or seen one of my videos or knew who I am. But for those of you who are totally new to me, my name is Simpson. I founded Boostly in 2016. Before Boostly, I've been pretty much involved around in hospitality, short-term accommodation since 4 years old. My family business was called The Granary. I say was called, we sold it at the back end of 2020, early 2021. And since 2016, I've been helping hosts all over the world. Doesn't matter where you are tuning in from right now. I've been helping hosts in every part of short stay accommodation all over the world increase their direct bookings, whether that's through tactics and training or whether that is through tools. And I feel that after doing this for many, many years, by looking at thousands of websites, by looking at all of the surveys and the studies and be keeping up with the trends, I've got a real good eye and a real good knowledge of what a direct booking website needs to be. And this is why I want to pass this information over to you. And hopefully you'll be able to take it and run with it and improve your business moving forward. All right, so the first question that I have for you, okay, and this is really important. So a simple yes or no in the chat. Do you currently have a direct booking website? Do you currently have a direct booking website? Yes or no? There's no right or wrong answer here. Okay, fantastic. If the answer is no, okay, if the answer is no, why do you not have a direct booking website just yet? And again, there's no right or wrong answer on this one. Okay, we've got a lot of yeses. We've got a lot of yeses. I can see so many people just giving their reasons why, which is great. Again, there's no right or wrong answers. Please do jump in the chat and please do get involved. And the final question that I have for everybody who is in here in the chat, where are you based in the world? So where is your property based? Where are you based? Because it's really interesting to me to know where people are tuning in from. Again, time zone wise, I'm trying to make sure that this is not only good for the UK and Europe, but I want to make sure that this is okay for, America, Canada, and we've got very early morning in Australia and Sydney as well. So I want to make sure that we're capable for all. Okay, we've got a lot of people all over. I'll catch up on that after. All right, well, what I've done is I've put together, and I keep looking to my right because I've got my notes on my iPad right here. So if you see me looking to my right, I'm not being rude. It's literally this is where my notes are. So I came up with 10 reasons I feel why your website isn't converting. And again, you may be listening to this, watching this and going, nodding your head going, yeah, this is me. Yeah, this is me. No, I'm good with this. Again, it'd be ideal if you've got all 10 and 10 ticked and boxed off. If you've maybe only got one, then obviously then we can look at an improvement. If you've got none of them or a couple of them, then we can look at improvement. If you've got 7 or 8, fantastic, you're well on the way. If you've got 10 out of 10, fantastic. So what we're going to go through is 10 reasons why your website isn't converting. And then I'm going to hopefully give you some little bit of advice on what you can do to correct it. So let's go on to the first one. And again, the first one, if anybody has ever read or listened to the book by Donald Miller called Story Brand, you will recognize this quote that I'm going to say from the book. If you confuse, you lose. And this is one of the first ways that so many people go wrong, is that I will be speaking to a host, I'll be speaking to a property manager, and I'll ask them if they have a website. And I reckon that it's the property managers and the management companies that are maybe a little bit more guilty in this than the host, who's a bed and breakfast host, for example, or someone who's just got one rental property. And they'll send me a link to their website, and I say, is this bookable for guests? And they'll go, yeah. But the website that they send me, the first thing that hits me when the website loads up is for landlords, or it's for people that they want to take on properties for. So when I say, when you confuse, you lose, if I'm a potential guest, so for example, if I'm looking for a leisure booking, or if I'm looking for like a book for my contractors or business or whatever, and I come on and I see a website that is talking about, we will look after your property for you, we will make sure your payments on time, that's confusing me. So I've confused, you've lost. So how do you go about rectifying that? Well, the whole point of a direct booking website, the whole reason why we do this, and the reason we want to do direct bookings, is that we want to be able to attract better guests. And when I say better guests, it means that those ideal guests that you would love to walk through the door. If anybody has read the book, my new book, the book Direct Playbook, you'll know that we're talking about customer avatar or ideal guest. Okay. So with a direct booking website, if you want to appeal and get more direct bookings, you want to get more of the right people that fits your business, that fits your property, that fits what you're doing through the door, then you've got to make sure that the first impression that your website gives is appealing and speaking to those people. Okay. Now, there's a saying, or there's definitely a phrase that I've said a couple of times, is that it's called above the fold. So basically what above the fold means is it's the first thing that your future potential guest will see when your website loads, whether it's on a desktop, which is what I'm using now, or whether it is on a mobile phone. It's the first thing that they see. Now, my first bit of advice on this webinar that I'm going to give you is that your first image and the first bit of text that they see is everything. So you've got to think when you're designing your website, or if you're looking to redesign your website, or if you're going to give this information on to somebody that's helping you with your website, you've got to give them a picture. You've got to give them an image. Okay. It's one of the first things that we ask for when we do our onboarding at Boostly is about that first image that they want to be on the website. And you've really got to think about, okay, well, what is my unique selling point, my USP? Do I have amazing views? Have I got amazing and really unique decor? Is there something that we do that people talk about a lot? Is there something that is really appealing to our potential guest, our ideal guest? That would be the image that you would use and you would launch on your website, on the home screen, on what's called above the fold, because the image is going to draw the attention. Now, one thing that I would stress here, and it's something that I've had a bit of a back and forth with people over the years, is they will go to me, well, Mark, well, what happens if that image is going to put off 60% of potential guests? And I go, well, this is the whole thing about once you realize who your ideal guest is that once you realize who your ideal guest is, you're not trying to appeal to everybody. You're just trying to appeal to a few people. Okay, and this is why it's really important, is that the image that you use and the text that you use is going to really appeal to your ideal guest. So if we've got people in this room right now who are catered and their business is really set up for traveling healthcare workers or business guests or corporate guests, then you would speak more to that. If your property is ideal for weekend getaways, family friendly, escape to the coast, glamping or whatever, you would speak to that, and that's the image that you would use. The problem that I see from so many people is that they use so much text. So above the fold, people are literally bombarded with text, lots of confusing images, and they don't know where to go. So again, think back to that saying from the book, when you confuse, you lose. So what I would love for you to do, you don't need to do it now. If you've got another device handy by you, you can obviously do it, but load up your web page and think about your ideal guest. So take off your business owner hat and put the hat on of your ideal guest and think, is my website speaking to my ideal guest? Sue, I'm going to mute you, so don't worry. Now, if you can't think with a unbiased hat on, here's what I would do, and please make a note of this. And if you're in the chat, please put the chat in the chat on the Zoom. There's a website called usertesting.com. Apologies if you don't understand my English accent, but someone could put the link in, it would be great. Usertesting.com. Now, I have personally used this website and this service for the last 10 years. And if you want a totally unbiased view of how your website works, use that. What a lot of people may do is may go into a Facebook group and ask other hosts, but it's hard to ask other hosts because we know what to look for. Usertesting.com is really good. Daryl's got it spot on. Paul's got it spot on. Usertesting.com is that when you use user testing, you basically book in 4 to 5 people. You ask for the demographic, so you can literally think about your ideal guest. You can give them an instruction, and they will record their screen and they will speak through the process, and they will let you know exactly what works and what doesn't work. Again, I've used that service for the family business, for Boostly, When we've got a new template that we want to test for our Boostly website design service, I use that. I use it for a lot of things. And again, it really is good feedback. So if you want to have a totally unbiased view on what your first bit of your website looks like, usertesting.com. Okay, so you confuse, you lose is number one. Can somebody please make a note of this? I want all 10 in the chat by the end. So number two, and I really wanted this to be really high on the list because I wanted it to sink in as soon as possible. And this is really important for everybody in here who has built their own website, okay? Make sure that when you are making any changes on your website or of your website, that you are doing it with this in mind. I am holding up, for those of you that aren't looking at the screen, I am holding up right now my mobile phone, okay? I've got an iPhone, it could be Android, Hawaii, or whatever you've got, but make sure that you build it for this first. And for anybody that is confident and has built their own websites, you will know that there's a section on the back end when you are creating it that you can choose which view to have your website in. So you can choose to have it on a desktop, a tablet, or a phone. You always got to build your website mobile first. Can anybody think why that may be the case in the chat? Anybody brave enough to jump into the chat? Why having a mobile phone first website is so important? Who's going to go first? Yeah, Poonam, 100%, spot on, first person. And this is not just me guesstimating this. This is actual fact. Over the years, let's just say 2014, 2015, 2016 was the sticking point. It used to be that desktop, if you were to look at your website, if you were to look at your Google Analytics, if you were to look at any analytics and how people interact with your website, maybe 10 years ago, desktop would be up here, 70%. And again, if you're not looking at the screen, I'm literally got my hands in a scale type style. So 70% here would be desktop, mobile phone would be here, say 30%. Over the years, and the better the technology has got, the quicker these phones have got with 3G, 4G, and now 5G, it's now tilted the other way. And recent surveys have showed, and it doesn't take a rocket science to work this out, is that the majority of people now are beginning, it's very important to stress this, beginning their booking journey. And if anybody's read the book, you'll know what the booking journey is all about. They're beginning their journey on these. So why are you still, why is your website designer, more importantly still, building a website with a desktop in mind? Every single person should say that their website is built with this in mind. Now, when I said that stat about starting their journey online, that's really important because as we all know, there's a very slim amount of people that will land on your website for the first time and book there and then. It's very rare for it to happen because if someone's going to be spending a couple of £100, a couple of £1,000, a couple of $1,000 on a vacation, it's very rare that they're going to just do it there and then. They will need to check with other people in their party, or maybe with a partner or with a boss or co-worker that they can take the time off. So they'll start the search on here. And then what they'll do is they'll maybe save a link and they'll maybe email it to themselves or email it to a partner. And then they'll complete the booking. They'll complete the booking on a desktop or a laptop when they're sat together later on, or, you know, at work or whatever, but they will begin their journey on here. Okay. So that's why it's really important. And again, first impressions is everything. Number one and number two do tie in really nicely. If you confuse, you lose. But also as well, if your website is not built mobile first, then please do rectify that. Sort of like a 2.5, like a 2.5, that I really want to get in there is that on your website, you will have clickable buttons. Okay. So if say we're on a desktop, it's super simple because you grab your mouse, you move your mouse to where it wants to go and you click on it. Okay. When you're on your phone, you haven't got a clickable mouse, okay? If you're like me, you've got big fat thumbs from playing too much computer games when I was a kid. So on the mobile phone, if you've got really little buttons, you are making life so much harder for the user. The user experience is everything. So again, make sure that when you're designing your website and you've got the ability, make sure you've got bigger buttons fatter thumbs like me. Okay, super simple. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what bigger buttons means, don't worry, I'll make sure you get a link at the end. Okay, so number 3, next one on the list. So number 1, let's see if we're paying attention. You confuse, you lose. Number 2, make sure your website is built for website, mobile phone first. Number 3, stop trying to create the next Mona Lisa. Do not try and reinvent the wheel. And this is maybe not so much a bugbear with you wonderful people, you wonderful hosts that are on this call with me. This is like a little remark to the website designers out there who, when I see websites, they're trying to create a website which is stunning with flashing graphics and all of these fancy things that are going on behind the scenes. Now, for another industry, for another category, that may work, that may look cool. But when you're designing a website for an accommodation business, all you need to do to get the most effective way of doing this is go and look at what Airbnb, what Booking.com, what Expedia, what the Hilton, what the Marriott, what the Premier Inn, the Late Room, Travelodge, just go and look at their websites. Okay? Go and look at their websites and come back to me and say, are these fancy websites with flashing all these cool things and graphics and all that jazz, or are they basic? They are basic as, and I can tell you that because we've looked at all of them. So when it comes to you designing your website and you're putting it all together, don't reinvent the wheel. Look at what the big guys are doing, the big chains are doing, and bearing in mind that these spend millions in putting teams together, in doing the research on all of this jazz, and try and pick apart what they do best and put it into your world. So again, number 3 isn't so much a remark to you. This is more for the website designers that you're hiring who come back to you with an all singing, all dancing, shiny website because they're trying to justify the thousands that they're charging you for a website. So again, please don't try and reinvent the wheel. Look at what the big guys are doing. Look at what the big guys and girls are doing at the big OTAs and the big chains and replicate that. Okay. All right. Number 4. And again, this is a message to everybody because there's so many people in here right now who are at different stages of their business journey. So there may be people who are starting out. There may be people that are been in this for a few years. You may have had a website, but you're looking to get a new one. And you may be thinking about working with somebody. So there's a couple of routes you'll go. Number 1, you do it yourself. Number 2, you're looking to hire somebody. And this is a bit of advice that I give to everybody. And again, the elephant in the room is that Boostly, we do website designs, but I want to give this advice to be impartial as possible to anybody who is looking to get a website, because you may want to work with somebody local to you. You may not work best with a digital service where people are based all around the world. You want to be sat with somebody in a room, X, Y, and Z. And this is why this is important. If you're going to work with somebody to design your website, make sure that they specialize solely in accommodation websites. This is a big thing that I see. I see it in the Facebook group. I see it in the hospitality community group. I just see it in forums. And people are saying, who did your website? And it's amazing the names that come back. For example, a family friend. The amount of times that I see a family friend because they were going to do it for cheap or for free. Again, it comes back to the first thing that I spoke about, is that the reason why websites are so important and the reason why so many hosts leave it as the final thought is that so much of the budget, as I said in the comments, I can see all the chat there, goes on getting the property ready. So when somebody comes to you and it's like a friend of a family member, or it's somebody down the pub who's next door neighbor does websites, trust me, if you use them and they're not specialists in accommodation websites, then you're just going to waste your time and your money and the headaches and the gray hairs that come with it. So please make sure, and it doesn't have to be Boostly, there's tons of amazing website design services out there. Just please make sure that when you do this and you do hire somebody, ask for their portfolio, ask for accommodation sites. And if they don't do them, or if they're not specializing in them, look elsewhere. Okay, let's move on to number five on the list. Okay, so let's see if we're keeping track. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. What are those 4 in the chat, please? Number 5, make sure that you get real reviews on your website. The last survey that came out, and again, this is a little bit kind of out of date now because it was 2019, but it's still prevalent and still relevant. 83% of people in a survey with, I think, 10 to 15,000 people that took the survey, travelers all around the world, they said one of the reasons why they wouldn't complete a booking on a website is because there was no reviews, no social proof. Trust and reviews are so important, and it's criminal to not have latest real-time reviews on your direct booking site. Now, when I say real reviews or real-time reviews, I'm not meaning copy and pasting a review that you had on Airbnb or your Facebook page or your Google and planting it on your website. People don't believe them. Now, in 2022, there are some amazing tools that don't cost a lot of money where you can grab a link from your Airbnb, your booking.com, your Vrbo, your Facebook, your Google, and they can pull those reviews in real time onto your website. And what's even better and what's even more effective is that you can set a filter so only your 5-star reviews show. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who have these systems already in place. So in the chat, because there's quite a few, if you're using a provider and a widget or whatever, please mention it in the chat so people can have a little look to see what are out there. There's quite a few, there's quite a lot. Reperso being one, Elfslight being one, Reviews, which is definitely more dedicated to the hospitality world. Yeah, so Shelley said, how do you bring in Airbnb reviews? Look at the chat now, Shelley. There is tons of solutions being given to you right now. And again, if anybody wants to put links in, please do. Again, I am not affiliated with these in any way, shape or form. There's just some amazing tools available. But the most important thing, number 1, if you're not currently got reviews on your website, go and get them. Very important. And number 2, if you're copy and pasting your reviews at the moment, stop and use one of these tools that are available. There's some fantastic ones, and literally I can see them being recommended. 10 years ago, when I first came back into the family business, 11 years ago when I first came into family business, this wasn't here. This solutions wasn't here. So it's really cool to see now in 2022 and beyond that it's making it so simple. And again, just ask yourself this question. Why does it work? Well, number 1, when you're looking to make a decision and you're looking to do a vacation, maybe not so much now, but 5 years ago, you would go to TripAdvisor. So what people were doing, they'd have a direct booking site. They're going, right, I'd like to go there, but let me just go and check out the reviews. And they were leaving your website to go and see the reviews. But the problem is that when somebody leaves your website, they never come back. It's just fact. They never come back, because as soon as they leave your website and they go finding the reviews and they'll land on TripAdvisor, for example, as soon as they land on your listing or your page on TripAdvisor, they are automatically pushing other properties and other businesses in the future potential guest directions. So you want to make sure that your website is as sticky as possible. And one of the easiest way of keeping it as sticky as possible is getting real-time reviews. Okay. So that was number 5, real reviews on your website. Okay, let's see if we're keeping track. Brilliant. And don't forget, if you would like your website to be reviewed, if you're going to be brave enough, there's one thing that I need for you to do. We've had a lot of people join. If you want your website to be reviewed, all you need to do, take a picture of this screen, of this Zoom, head on over to Instagram stories, post up an Instagram story and tag in @Boostly UK. If you don't know how to spell Boostly UK, I've literally got it on my chest here. Got the QR code Boostly UK on the end. Post it up, take a picture, tag me in, and then in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes time, we'll do a review live. I'll share my screen and we'll go through it. And what I would really love when I do the review, I don't want it to be just me who's giving you advice. With everything that I'm telling you, with these 10 things that we're laying out, I would love it for everybody in here to see if you can go, okay, so there's definitely number 1 there, but we haven't got number 2 or number 3 or number 4, number 5, okay? So number 6, This is a really obvious one, and you're going to kick yourself if you're not doing this. It's showing off your personality. Okay, showing off you behind the business. And there's a story that I give with this, or not a story, just an example that I give with this that hits home really well. Now there's a street in Scarborough. So I'm from Scarborough. You can tell by this dodgy accent. I'm from a little seaside town called Scarborough, and there's a street in Scarborough that is famous for just being full of bed and breakfast and hotels and short stay accommodation. Now that street on Scarborough, every single one of those properties could have the same decoration. They could have the same breakfast. We could have the same bedding, the same mattress. But what would stand out these businesses from everybody else is the person behind the door, the business owner. That's your personality. Somebody can go in and copy your business model to a T, but they will never, ever, ever be able to copy you and your personality. So you need to show that off. And the best way to do that, quite simply, is by having a very simple About Us page. About Us section, on your website. So it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be an autobiography. It just needs to be something that stands you out from the rest. Obviously, pictures help because people buy from people. And if they can see a nice smiling face of you and your team, whether it's your family or, if you've got a bigger operation, the team behind it, then even better. Like I say, it doesn't have to be an essay. It doesn't have to be a biography. Just have something that will just explain a little bit about you and your family, why you started the business and why you love hospitality, why you love short stay accommodation. And what you will find, especially if you can marry that up to the thing we've talked about at the start, which was, appealing to your ideal guests, what you'll find is that people will naturally gravitate towards you. Your ideal guests will naturally gravitate towards you. So personality is key. Don't just try and copy and paste what somebody else has done on their website. Number one, I don't think the legals will like that. But number two, as well, you want to make it where it is personal to you. This is your personality shining through. If you're brave enough to do a little video, these things right now are so powerful. The quality is so good. It's as like you've got a mini video camera, like a proper film camera in your pocket. So if you can pick the phone up, tilt it like that so it's in horizontal mode, and maybe record a little video walkthrough of you at the property or one of your properties, even better. Because a picture paints 1,000 words, a video is like 1,000,000. So show off your personality. It always goes down well. And the main thing I want to say about that is done is better than perfect. Don't try and create the next Spielberg. Just pick up your phone, record it, upload it, and improve it as you go. I guarantee you it will work. Okay, so we're on number 7. 7. And I actually recorded a little video about this today. So Monday's my bulk recording day for podcasts, and I recorded a little video today and talking about number 7 because it is very important, and I think it's something that is going to be really important in 2022 and beyond. And when I was doing my research for this podcast episode, for this video, I went back to watch a TED Talk. And in 2016, Airbnb was still in its infancy. It was still growing in popularity. Obviously, it isn't the behemoth that it is today. But back in 2016, Joe Gebbia, who is one of the co-founders of Airbnb, so everybody knows Brian Chesky, Joe Gebbia is one of the other co-founders. And he did a full TED Talk about how Airbnb designed for trust. I don't know if anybody's watched it. All you got to do is type in Airbnb Design for Trust TED Talk, and you'll be able to watch it on YouTube. But it's a fascinating little presentation about how Airbnb designed for trust. And the reason being, back then, and they were a scrappy startup still, they were taking on Booking.com, they were taking on Vrbo or Expedia, whatever the name was back then of HomeAway. They had to try and gain the trust, not only of the guest, but of the host, because they needed to appeal to hosts to list on their platform, and they needed to appeal to guests to book on that platform, and they did it through trust. 5 years later, they are, without a shadow of doubt, the largest OTA. They've overtaken Booking.com, they've overtaken Vrbo, And more and more people are using Airbnb because of how they've built up trust. Whether you like them or not, whether you agree with that statement or not, they've used trust as the massive factor behind it. Again, through spending a lot of money, hiring some very good people and creating things through marketing. So now in 2022, we as hosts, if we want to build a direct booking business, increase our direct bookings, we've got to have that trust on our sites. We've got to build that trust in our business. So how do we do that? Obviously, if we've got reviews, it's going to build that trust, but we need to do a little bit more. You need to have some form of accreditation. You need to have some sort of certification that you are a trustworthy business. And so there's definitely a tool or a service or a software that I recommend. Some of you may use it. I know a lot of people do use it because I've been recommending them to a couple of people now for the last couple of years, but they're called i-prac, i-prac.com. What they've done is really cool, and definitely coming out the back of the pandemic is something that I feel like is really important. And that company was created, the gentleman who run it is a guy called Chris Mohan. He's based in France, and he created it because one day, let's say 2014, I think this was, I can't remember his backstory, but he was in Cannes, and there was a family in front of him crying, like in hysterics, crying, because the place that they had booked on arrival was a fake listing. And he was like, well, how can anybody get away with this? And so he basically created this idea for an accreditation service on the back of it. It's called i-prac.com. And the cool thing about that is that when you're certified by them, you've got a real nice certificate on your website that instantly has that trust. It is probably one of the biggest accreditation services out there. It's got thousands of hosts all over the world. It's got some of the biggest names and brands on there. And it gives confidence to not only you, the host, but obviously the guest as well. Another thing about trust as well, check out superhog.com. Bit of a newer service, but superhog.com definitely is helping crack down that trust service. And again, not affiliated with these in any way, shape or form. It's just ones that I know but work really well, and tools that I feel that so many people aren't really aware of just yet. If you don't know how to spell iPrac, please help me. i-prac.com in the chat. And then Superhog is superhog.com. Do go and check it out, both of them. And again, when you can start to build this trust, and when you've got these certificates and these accreditations behind you, it just knocks down those extra barriers that may be in your way when somebody lands on your website. All right, number 8, and again, this is so obvious, and you are going to kick yourself, especially if we do your website review in a little while and you haven't got this, you're going to be kicking yourselves. And again, I'd love to know this in the chat, actually, a simple yes or no. Do you talk about the benefits of booking direct on your website, on the homepage of your website? Yes or no? And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. No right or wrong answer. One of the major reasons why I do all of this, I started doing Boostly back in 2016, and why at nearly 9 o'clock at night, I'm doing a Zoom webinar with 181 amazing people in front of me, 182, 183, 184, and people are jumping in the chat a bit late, but hello, is that I wanted to make sure that all guests know about the benefits of booking direct. In 2015, there was a Look North camera crew came to us at the Granary, and they wanted to do a little segment about direct bookings. And me and the reporter, we went down to Scarborough Seafront and we interviewed 10 people, and we asked 10 random tourists and travelers, how did they book their stay? It was a really busy summer. I think it was like end of the summer, start of autumn. It was a really busy day on the Scarborough Seafront, and we asked them, how did they book their stay in Scarborough? And it was like 9 out of 10 people said on booking.com. I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And so when I started doing this, it was to help re-educate the guests about the power of booking direct. But the problem is, it's not with the guests, it's with us, the hosts. If we never explain to our guests, our future potential guests or our repeat guests about why we should book direct, then how are our guests going to get educated in the power of direct bookings? Now, thankfully, 5 years on, the numbers that are coming out of direct bookings is going up. and up and up, which is fantastic, but we need it to continue. Okay. So how can we educate a guest about booking direct? And again, I stress, and I would encourage, if you're thinking, well, how do I do this? Go and look at what the big chains are doing. Go look at what Marriott do. Go look at what Hilton do. Go look at what Premier Inn doing. And they talk about this on their website. The benefits of when you book direct. You get free Wi-Fi. You could get earlier check-in, later checkout. You might get a free breakfast or a cheaper breakfast. Go and look at what they're doing and see how you can mimic it and replicate it for what you're doing. And whatever you come up with, whatever it may be, put it on the homepage of your website. Now, I was staying at a property in Liverpool last week, and they, on arrival, it was amazing. We had everything we could possibly need in the kitchen. We had teas and coffees and milk. There was a bottle of bubbles, which was amazing. And I said to him, you know, you're doing all of this and you're not talking about this. How easy would it be? Go into B&M, go into Dunelm, go anywhere, buy a little wicker basket, put all of the coffee, all the teas in a nice little tubs, like nice little glass jar, put it in a welcome basket, pop it there with a little note and just saying, this is your welcome hamper. Literally, it takes no extra time to do. The cleaners can do it for you. You can do it. It costs maybe 20, 30 quid for the hamper. Pop it in there. And that could be a direct booking incentive. If you book direct with us, you get a free welcome hamper courtesy when you book direct. And they were already doing all of the things. They were doing it already. They were going to provide it anyway, the teas, the coffees, and all of that lovely stuff. But if you can just package it up and talk about that, then that could be the swing or the incentive that you need to get someone to book direct. Now, everybody thinks about booking direct, it's about the money that they save. They always focus on the money. So when you book direct, you save 15% because I don't have to pay commission fees to booking.com. But not everybody's focused on money. Some people are focused on the incentives. So how can you combine the two? How can you figure it out for yourself? Shelley, I can see your comment, and let me just very quickly pivot back to what I mentioned beforehand. So I'm just going to bring up Shelley's comments because it's a really good one and a really valid one. My biggest concern with direct bookings is damage protection. At least Airbnb covers me. How do people handle protection with direct booking guests? Do you require a deposit or make them pay a protection plan? Now, this is why I would love Team Boostly members and just everybody in this amazing chat. We've got nearly 200 people. How would you answer Shelley's question? Now, my instant comeback to that is that all air cover is fancy marketing. Airbnb have spent millions trying to get this marketing message down to a T. And I guarantee they will have read StoryBrand or will have hired Donald Miller services because, again, this is a really, really interesting topic and conversation. So again, Shelley, please do look at the chat. And for those of you that are watching Facebook Live, you don't see the chat on Zoom. So next time, make sure you register for one of these things and you can join in the conversation on the chat. But it's a really good question. Go back again, look at guardhog.com, superhog.com. They will help you with that. But there's so many more than just those providers. There's some really good insurance companies out there that will help all of that. Okay, now let's move on. So we've got 8. Thumbs up. Do you know all those 8 that we've gone through so far? Brilliant, because if not, don't worry, we're going to get them listed out at the end. But number 9, is FAQ. FAQ, frequently asked questions. Now, this is a 2-for-1. This is a 2-for-1. The first one is that when you have an FAQ on your homepage, it is fantastic Google juice, the lovely thing that people call SEO. We get so many people come to me, and we have lots and lots of calls every week from hosts. And one of the first things that they ask is, I want to get to number 1 on Google. I want to be at the top of Google. And you know, it's a really cool and a really cool conversation to have. But I just say, like, one of the easiest ways to get your website more noticed by Google is in 2022 is by having a FAQ, a frequently asked question. Okay, and the reason being, and this part is my speculation, it's got my speculation hat on here, is that Google are obviously fighting against Amazon for the attention of voice search. Hands up if you've got an Amazon Alexa in your house. Hands up if you've got one of those Google Homes in your house, or you talk to Google Assistant. Is that they're wanting to build out a service where the voice is a big part of their future play. And what you'll find now is there's a section on Google search that is basically called rich snippets. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't really matter. But what you'll find now, if you ask a question on Google, look at what comes up. It's not so much a web page, but there's the question section. Go type it in. Go type in how to peel an orange on Google, and you'll see that there are the question that comes up, and you'll see the answers. And the answers will then take you to a web page, which is really interesting. And that is there because of FAQ, frequently asked questions. And again, SEO people that are much more smarter than me will explain why. There's content writers that will tell you why this works and why it just doesn't work, etc. Y and Z. But there's a 2-for-1. The other second part, again, is for your guest. So say that you've got a really good website. The landing page of your website is nailed on. Superb. You've got nice image, nice wording. Scroll down, you've got the reviews on there. So you've got the social proof. You've got a little bit about you showing off your personality. But what if there's a question like they have? And the question maybe, well, do they offer parking? You know, do they do X? Do they provide breakfast? What is the checkout cost? And all that sort of jazz. All you need to do for an FAQ is go back on your inbox messages for the last year and find the 20% of questions that come up 80% of the time. The 20% of questions that keep coming 80% of the time, and then have that as your FAQ. I mean, right now you can think of the most popular questions that you get. You just know it because you see it on your Airbnb messages or your Facebook messages or your emails, or just questions that come in from guests. Parking probably being one. So again, you can answer that on your website homepage. So if somebody goes to the very bottom of your page, they've seen everything, they're getting ready to book, but they've got a couple more questions. If you say FAQ, they'll quickly go through them, and it's a great way of getting them over the line. And I'm going to move on to the final one, and then we're going to pick the marketing review. Let me just make sure that somebody's done it, because otherwise it's going to be very awkward if nobody's not done it. Oh, okay, we got, oh my God. Okay, we got quite a lot. All right, so this next step, number 10, in my opinion, is the most important part. The most important part, and the reason why I and the team have embarked on this next madness of things that we've done, which is using API technology, is because of this. The most important part is the actual booking process. So the actual part when you've knocked all the barriers down, you've got an amazing website. It ticks all the boxes with the reviews, the pictures are spot on. You've shown off your personality. You've got a strong FAQ. You've got strong frequently asked questions. When somebody goes, yeah, I'm going to stay with them, and they hit the book now button, the amount of websites that I see that go wrong on this stage is insane. And I'm not going to call out any individual property management software, also known as PMS, because some are good, some are bad, and they're all pretty much the same in terms of that they make the process really hard to book. So you've got to make sure that the actual booking section is as simple as 1, 2, 3. And this is the hardest part to crack, which is why we went away and created this technology, this API technology. We hired these amazing people that have helped us put it together to where we can make it as smooth as possible. Because there's going to be some people in this room that have got a Wix website or a Squarespace solution or even a WordPress solution. And when somebody goes to click and book now, they have to leave the website to go to another domain to make the booking. So I'll repeat that again. So you've got your direct booking website. Let's just say it's marksimpson.com. You go to marksimpson.com, you go for all the things, and that trust factor is there. You know, you've got the trust and all that cool stuff up there, the reviews and whatnot. They hit book now when it takes them to a totally different domain. And the problem with that is that when that happens, the trust factor goes. In a day and age of online piracy and scams, and it was really high in 2020. If you want to keep that trust factor there, you've got to make sure that your booking and the whole system is done on the same domain, so on-site booking. The payment side of things, so the actual bit where they do the payment, that's absolutely fine, because nowadays if you go anywhere, you can click on PayPal, it'll take them off to do the PayPal. But for do the most part, the booking part, on-site booking is so important. Now, some people will come to me and go, well, Mark, I've got a free website with insert PMS, Logify, Guesty, etc., etc. That's all well and good, but these websites are so limited, you can't add in the tools that I've spoken about before. So think about the trust factor and all of that. You are very limited in what you can do. So there's a big problem in the industry. Number one, you've got a free website with your PMS that you can do the on-site book booking, but you can't do any of the important things. You can't bespoke it in any way, shape, or form. Or number two, you've got a WordPress or a Wix or a Squarespace website, and you can't complete the booking on site. And this is a big problem, which is what we are trying to do to solve. And that's what we've done, and that's what we're creating. So if you are out there and if you are trying to master the booking process and you're trying to do all of these things, but you are struggling, and if you want to jump on a call, just send me an email, send me a message. I'll give you a link, and I'll be more than happy to get on a call with you and you can explain about how we're doing. The one thing that I want to say, and I just want to say to everybody, before we do the review, there's two things that I would love to do in this industry before my time is out. How many years that may be, when people stop listening to me, or when whatever that may be. There's two things that I think is really important, and this is going to be the next stage of website design, and this is the next stage of just hosting in general, is that if there's any way, shape, or form that you, as a business owner, you've got your direct booking website, say that you've got a little group of other hosts on your WhatsApp or your Facebook group. Say that we've got Paul here, and say Paul's got 5 other people in his area that he's a phone call away. So say that somebody messages him and they go, Paul, would love to book accommodation with you. We're going to be coming on these dates. And you go, you know what? I'm not available, but I've got somebody that's got a very similar business to mine is available, Okay. So you've got that on WhatsApp, which is great. Or you've got that on the phone call. But if there's any way, shape, or form that you can start doing this now, amazing. So what I want for you to do is to get your little network of buddies, of whoever that may be, businesses and whatnot. You've got your direct booking website. If you can list their properties on your website in the back end, so it is bookable via your website, and then you and the other business owner will just work out a referral fee. This is the future of direct booking websites. So my goal for Boostly, we've got over 1,000 hosts right now, probably about sitting on 5,000 to 10,000 properties that have got Boostly website. My goal, and the programmers behind the scenes are killing me because this is the request that I'm giving them at the moment. I want it to get to a point where any one of our members can have the Boostly website. You've got the cool map and all the cool things going on, and you can come on to your own site and you've got your properties, which are obviously going to be front and center, but then you can go down a list and tick, and add in everybody else. So if a guest or a host or a future potential guest comes to your website, say that you're fully booked for whatever reason, then you can still bring in some form of revenue, still get the direct booking, and you can pass it and share it amongst the community. And that's my goal. And there's a shortcut way that we're going to do this. And I'm going to bring this in over the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to explain more about it to Boostly website people, which is super cool. But if you can start doing that, now the reason why that is beneficial, number one, if you've got a future potential guest who's looking to do a direct booking, they land on your website, you've got a very limited amount of availability. There's only so many people that you can get heads on beds. But if you can keep the booking in your town, or if you can keep the booking in the direct booking world to stop them from going, it's not available, let me go back to Airbnb, and it keeps it as a direct booking, which is so important for everything that I want to achieve in this industry with my time being here. So again, if you can do that, amazing. If you're already doing that, please put a little link in the chat. Let me know if you're doing that, because it'd be really cool to see. Like I say, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and it's a big part of the next level of websites that we're going to have out there. Okay, we are good. All right. Before we do the website review, if there's all of these 10 things here, please, we've got 10 things right now. The last one was, what can be the last one? It's a bit of I didn't really have a name for it. Expand your website. get more hosts on your website, whatever we can do. Okay, so here's what I want for you to do. If anybody in here would like to book a call, so all these 10 things that I've got here, if you're thinking all sounds good, but I would just prefer to speak to you guys and have a little conversation to see if you're going to be a right fit for us, send me a message on Instagram. It's @BoosterUK, or just go to booster.co.uk/WC. Book in a call, go onto that Calendly, book in a call. That's it. What I would love to know now, out of those 10 things that we did, so we talked about you confuse, you lose, mobile first website, don't try and reinvent the wheel. This is why you should only work with people that specialize in accommodation websites, real reviews, personality, trust, benefits of booking direct, FAQ, and sharing is caring. I like sharing is caring. Jeff, great one. Sharing is caring. Hands up, honestly, if you think you are smashing all 10 of them. If you sorted all 10, fantastic. If you're only doing one of them, let me know. Again, there's no right or wrong here, but it'd be good to see what we've got. Brilliant. Lovely. Gregory, we're not doing API booking or certification. Cool. So at least you know that you can improve on a few, which is good. Right, let's move on then to doing a review. So while we've all got that coming in, let me hit the refresh. I'm going to go up and down, and I want to make sure that the person is actually on the Zoom. All right, so the first one that I see here, scrolling up and down, do we have a Kai Anderson, K-Y-E Anderson? Do we have a Kai Anderson in here? Does he in the Zoom chat? You've got 5 seconds.
Yes, we do.
Whoa, he's already unmuted himself. Brilliant. Hey, buddy. All right, well done. You did all the things you needed to do. First one that came up that I saw. So thank you very much for unmuting yourself. Let me have this so we're both on the screen here. There we go. Let me bring me in as well. So we're both in here. Add the spotlight. Brilliant. All right, Kai, have I pronounced your name right first and foremost?
Spot on.
Spot on. Whereabouts in the world are you?
Sorry, Mark.
Whereabouts in the world are you?
We're in Echuca in Victoria, Melbourne.
Oh, wow. What time is it for you?
8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so let's do a little website review here. So this is how it's going to work. I'm going to bring the domain up. I'm going to share my screen. First and foremost, everybody say hi to Kai. He's in Australia. He's in Victoria, Australia. Yes, I'm blurry. Sorry, it's my camera going a bit crazy. Thank you very much for doing this. Right, so Kai, what is your website domain?
Echuca, ECHUCA, holidayhomes.com.au.
ECHUCA holidayhomes.com.au. Right, let me share my screen in a second. All right, so while we're bringing this up on the screen, give us a little bit of background about yourself, if you don't mind, like about the business and whatnot. Like how long are you into your journey and XYZ? Just tell everybody a little bit more about you.
We started 5 years ago with the idea of improving property management services locally. We started off with one home. We're approaching 37 homes this month. We have a very high direct booking rate of 68%. We are looking to build a new website, hence I am sitting here. We also have a separate company which is a maintenance and a housekeeping business. So we self-integrate all of our services.
Nice. All right, well, first and foremost, amazing work. 37 properties. So do you do the management model? Do you own all of these properties? Like what's the process? What do you got going on there?
I own one property, 36 managed for other people.
Nice.
And all of our properties are in the mid to very high end. We don't take low end properties.
So how did it work? You were doing such a good job on yours. You had a buddy goes, oh, I've got one. You can do mine if you want. You can. Is that how it pretty much worked?
Look, we had an accommodation complex previous to starting this business, which I sold because it became probably not challenging enough. And a friend of mine offered to run his holiday home for him, and that's where it started.
Wow, there we are. Right, let me. I've got it here. Let me share my screen. Now, everybody, just give me a little yes or no in the chat. Do you see this okay? Do you see the website okay? Kai, do you see your website on my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, so there's loads we can dig into here, which is lovely. So first and foremost, you say you got a very high direct booking rate. What are you doing? And I feel like this will be really cool for everybody who's in the chat with us. What are you doing to bring and generate 60% plus direct bookings at the moment?
Our domain name is very organic to our area. We don't have any competition in the property management space. So Echuca Holiday Homes, our town is a tourism town. And so Echuca Holiday Homes is a frequently searched word. With regards to OTAs, probably the worst I deal with is Airbnb. I'm really cheeky and I get away with it, but I put my logo, phone number in the listing of every Airbnb as the second photo. They've never picked up on that. In my About You section, I write our website, or I don't write my website, but I tell them how they can find us, that it will be cheaper to book direct and it will be a better experience. And we try to do that through all the OTA sites. But we have the benefit, we have a website, we are a local business and we're easily searched online. It might be a little bit more challenging for an individual running one property to do that.
Yeah. I love that. And again, let's just throw it open up to the chat in the Zoom. What Kai just explained there was a super cheeky but lovely little tactic of driving people away from an OTA back to your website. Does anybody else do that? We've got loads of yeses, which is great. So yeah, awesome to see. And again, I've got a video on this on the Boostly YouTube channel showing you exactly where to put that, where to plant that. Booking.com, obviously we know they're kind of more on the ball when you try and put your name or your details on the pictures, and you will get a slap on the wrist. It's one of those where you beg for forgiveness, you never ask for permission. And Kai's obviously been doing it really well, and I can see over here have said yep, sound, and then some people have said that a slap on the wrist. All right, so let's dig into the website review. First and foremost, thank you very much for doing this. It's very can be a bit nerve-wracking for some, but I feel like it's all good, because again, at the end of the day, if we can help you when you come to your rebrand and we can help in any way, shape or form, the better for it. So first and foremost, again, the reason why I was shrinking my screen when we were doing this is because I wanted to see what it looks like on mobile. So if anybody is watching right now and you're thinking, what's the easiest way to see if my website is working on mobile? If you're on a desktop, can you see what I'm doing? And I'm shrinking my screen. Kai, can you see me shrinking my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, brilliant. Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. I never know what people can see when I can share my screen here. So I'm shrinking it here, and you can see it's adjusting. Now, number one, what I would say with the rebrand, this website right now is not totally optimized for mobile. I can see that from just doing this. And as you can see as well, as cool as the live chat is, it's getting in the way instantly. So it's getting in the way of like thumbs like mine, fat thumbs like mine. What I would definitely be looking to do when you do the rebrand is get rid of this big image in the background. Just to give you an example, this is staybright.com. You can go see it. As you can see, it's got everything is clear and consistent. So it's all about blocking it in. So you've got the top bit here, different color scheme, etc., etc. So that's the first thing. When I come to it, I mean, you're very spot on with your properties. Like you said, it's high end, high to luxury end. I don't think you're going to find it hard to get a really good one main image here. What I would recommend is, just like with Stay Bright at the top, that's what we've done here, get one image, get your best image, your best property, your best photo, the one that really sells it, and have that as one. Don't have it as a scrolling one, because it just becomes annoying. Just have one main stick image at the top. Now, one thing that you have done well with this, but other people don't do. So this is what's called above the fold. We talked about earlier. So many people jumped in about above the fold. What you want to do is a couple of things. Number one, you want to make sure that the most important menu items are at the top here. And what you want to make sure as well is that it's super simple for people to know on where to go to check availability and to book with you. There's so many websites that I see where they don't have this, that you'll come on and they'll have like a nice little logo. You've got a little bit about the properties, etc., etc., and there's no book now button. And again, this whole section of a website, and we're talking mainly about like a desktop now, but mainly about here. This is the gold zone of every website. This is where the eyes naturally go to. So you got to make sure that you know how people know how to book with you and how can actually give you money. Just out of interest, what tool are you using here with the live chat?
It's called Book Me Bob. It's an Australian and New Zealand startup from about a year ago. It isn't great. It needs a lot of work put on it. They're moving into the holiday rental space. We should really turn it off.
Yeah, there's the name's Twak, Twak. I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the chat. Helen, I know Helen. I think you use them. TWAQ is yes, Talk. There you go. TWAQ. My automatic spelling is dummy there, but TWAQ is a really good chat alternative to look at as replacing with it. Again, I think it's probably the most recommended one that's out there for live chat right now.
Our Book Me Bob that's on that bottom corner is not a live chat system. It's actually artificial intelligence that builds and grows as you get questions asked. And then if it's unable to ask a question, it refers it through as an email contact. Yeah.
So all of them work in a similar way. You can set up keywords and whatnot, and you've got to do all the little things. I mean, there are quite a few. If you're looking for like, obviously this is a startup and whatnot. If you're looking for like an alternative, Twak is a good one. But yeah, the reason why I mentioned that is that by having that option in 2022 and beyond is definitely a plus point. So if anybody's thinking about should I have a live chat option, yes or no, it definitely is worthwhile. The reason why I say that 74% is between 70 and 75% of people have said that if they get stuck in the booking process, they would like to have a feature where they could ask a question. And again, if you just think about the guest booking process, you're going to be spending, well, for Kai's case, these are going to be not cheap properties. These are not a one-night stays. So if you're going to be spending a couple of grand to come and stay it, to have that ability to reach out and speak to somebody is definitely beneficial. Do you have, Kai, seeing that these are mid to high-end properties, do you have a sales team? Do you have like a team that somebody can call and actually speak to before making a booking?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. So instead of having that, are you just tempted to have the phone number so someone can just pick up the phone and call directly?
That is certainly something that could be on the homepage. It should be down the bottom with a contact form as well. Yeah.
I mean, one thing that, again, always be thinking about above the fold and at the very top, like how can you get the phone number up in here? How can you make it sticky? So especially with thinking about your guest in mind, these are mid to high end. There's definitely going to be questions coming in. How can you make it so it's obvious? I know it's there at the bottom. This right here is what's called the junk drawer. This is what you put like the afterthought of your website. It's where you sit things in. I think my main feedback, and I don't want to spend too much amount of time on this, but what I would say, and this is important for everybody, is that you want to have 80% of your website, full website information on the homepage. You want it to be start at the top, go down. By the time they're at the bottom, they've got all the information that they need. If they want to dig in a bit further, because some people do, they can click on a link to find out more. But again, if we look at Stay Bright here, as you can see, you start off with a nice image, all of the cool things in place. As you scroll down, you go through to the different properties. So Kai, where you see Great Escape, Waterfront, you can replace it with these featured homes and apartments. The locations that you cover, a little bit about us, showing off the personality. Why Bright? So self-check-in, professional cleaned, spacious design for living, property highlights, benefits of booking direct. hear from our happy guests. And then at the bottom, you've got the place to find out more and where you can contact. So it's all about, again, having 80% of your website information on the homepage. Now, it's not having blocks and blocks and blocks of text. Again, when it comes to it, make sure that you're telling the story with icons. And what do I mean by that? If we scroll up a little bit, property highlights. So instead of Stay Bright having tons and tons and tons of text here about how comfy their beds are, by simply having an icon and the term comfy beds, people instantly know. We're in a world now where everybody doesn't really text. We use emojis to communicate, going back to the hieroglyphic days. So people recognize emojis and they would do big blocks of text. So how can you do something similar? And again, I mentioned it at the start. We talk about real reviews from real people. We use Elflight for our widget. Again, it pulls in the big reviews from Airbnb, Booking.com, Google, etc. Having that social proof would be key. And again, finally, I would definitely be looking at utilizing something like iPrac. It's a worldwide organization, or maybe something in Australia. Having that on the site. You've got the Hero one, which is really cool there. But yeah, definitely having a bit more social proof, filling it out a little bit more. Which PMS, Kai, do you use behind the scenes there?
RMS 9+.
Okay, is that an Australian one?
It is Australian. They are around the world as well.
Yeah, but mostly are they based?
Mostly Australian. They started off in caravan parks as their speciality, and our PMS runs with a trust accounting system, which is something we require here.
Yeah, sound cool. So again, what I would always recommend to everybody to do, and I mentioned it at the start about usertesting.com. So if you're not independent enough or unbiased enough to sort of think, is my website working enough? I would definitely get somebody to run a dummy booking through, because when you use your website to do a test booking, you know where everything is. And this is really important, Kai, when you come to sort of do your newer website and the newer rebuild. But with usertesting.com, they don't know you from Adam. And so what they'll be able to do is they'll be able to run a dummy booking through your site, and they'll really be able to give you a lot of advice and a lot of feedback on where they're struggling X, Y, and Z. And I would definitely pay attention to the booking process. I'm not aware of that PMS, but again, I would just make sure that is the most important section, because I know that the accounting bit is important to you, but what's more important to me is that when someone lands on the site, they can go from A to B to C and make a booking. So that's an important one for I would definitely do. But yeah, when are you looking to do the rebuild?
We're just coming out of peak season in a couple of months, and our website that we built 5 years ago, which is just a template WordPress, is not really designed for more than about 16 properties. So we're overdue to rebuild it, and I'm very conscious. A lot's changed in that 5 years. I reckon the number of people that book sitting in their chair at home on their mobile phone is probably 80% these days. So as you said, we need to improve our mobile site for sure, and have a website that accommodates what we're hoping will be up to 100 holiday homes.
Nice. Amazing growth. Congratulations. Have you got a time scale on it?
9 years for 100.
Nice. Well, I'll be watching and following, and do keep in touch. So I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for doing that. And what I love about when we do something like this and we do a little review live, is that I guarantee that when we can visualize it and we can see people and we can see things on the website, other people will be able to pick it up as well. So let me very quickly just move you back into the crowd. I really do appreciate that. And I really do hope that everybody has taken something from that, even from the review at the end. So if you're going through these 10 things and you're going through your website and you're thinking, oh, a second, I need to do that, then please do me this one thing and take action on it. Have a little think about what you can change, how you can change it. And the beauty of it is all of these things that we're talking about are very, very simple to do. If, like I said, that you're thinking, I just want to speak with you guys and see if you can help us, then by all means do. Send me an email, mark@boostly.co.uk, send me a message on Instagram, or if you want to go and book a call in right now, boostly.co.uk/WC. We can help make sure that your website is working and firing on all cylinders and ready for 2022. I really hope that you got something from this. This is the first time that I've really done this style of webinar or call, etc. If those of you who are watching on Facebook that are getting FOMO from the Zoom room, make sure that you're on the email list. You can find out when we're doing one of these next. And what I would love for you to do is send me your feedback. This is the style of webinar where there's no big offer, there's no big sales at the end or anything like that. If you would prefer me to throw in a big offer at the end that can help you there and then, let me know. If there's something that I've missed out, please let me know. mark@boostly.co.uk. I would love to get your feedback on this. Like I said, keep an eye out. I mentioned this at the very, very start. So if you missed the first 5 minutes, at some point this week, I'm going to be doing a big giveaway. I've got a Minute device. Is that right here? So the team at Minute sent me this, which is a noise device, which helps you monitor noise in your apartment or your property if there's like a big party going on. So that's pretty cool. I've got one of these that I'm never going to use, which is an Amazon Ring. And I thought, well, if I've got these, let me see if I can get a couple of people to put together something and we'll do a big bundle. The overwhelming response, I asked at the start if this was going to be a yes or no, and everybody said yes. So I'm going to put a little giveaway together. I'm going to reach out to a few more people, see what I can get. I'll definitely try and get a copy of this involved, which is the book. If you haven't yet got the book, please, please, please do go pick up a copy, print, Kindle, Audible. It's at boostly.co.uk/book. Let me put that in the chat. Please do go pick it up. It is one of the best sellers, which is amazing. It's above all the Airbnb books. It's above all the other property books, which is fantastic to see. Please do keep it there. It's like literally a tenner. And it's got tons and tons and tons and tons of advice and direct bookings in there, which is awesome. You can get it on Amazon. And all that lovely stuff. And we'll get other things. So if you want to be part of that, please make sure you're following Boostly UK on Instagram. And if you're up for it, at the end of this month, I'm looking at dates. We could do some Instagram training. So if you want some help with Instagram, if you want an Instagram little training session at the end of this month, then let me know. Give me a yes in the comments. We did it in January. It went down really well. I'm thinking about running the exact same one in the middle of this month, middle to end of this month. If you're up for it, then let me know. We'll make it so. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of this little experiment that I did. I hope that you got a lot from it.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Boostly podcast. Boostly like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.